Oh, sorry, Mike. I'm just getting our patron earnings.
You shouldn't have. I could have gone a couple of different ways. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, it's true. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Today we are talking about Season 6, Episode 12. Who mourns? Well, I mean, look, some people mourn, some people moan. We
some people
address
moan while
both
they mourn?
of those.
Yeah.
So, well, look, it's all here in this action-packed episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Mike, how's it going, buddy?
Keith, is that an actual Morn figure, or is that like great placed PNG?
No, that isn't. That is the actual Playmates Morn figure riding the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Just just being here, silent. He doesn't.
I wish
get
somebody
a line
was
either.
riding the mic, and it's not Morn from this episode, if you know what I'm saying.
Jen's out of town. Nobody's riding the mic.
It's fair.
Yeah, well, fair enough. God, we've already ruined
started.
it.
Yeah, it's happened.
We've already ruined this episode, but I'm excited to talk about it. I have not talked about it with you. I have not watched the watch along, so I have no idea what you think of this episode.
Keith, this is dropping on a Friday. For those who can't wait by their YouTube feeds and jump in right away. I guess we should mention, if you're not a patron already, patreon.com/KNM. Next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
So that would be
6 o'clock
February.
Eastern time. No, January 28th,
6 p.m. Eastern time. We're watching Star Trek 3, The Search for Tupac. Star Trek 3.5, The Search for Tupac.
All right, so the reason my brain is bad is because I did my walk right before this, and so Jillian and I, we walk 3 miles a day,
Nice.
No matter what the weather, but that means my brain is bad. Why is your brain bad?
The double reasons. So one, been getting up since 4 o'clock because the dog got diarrhea, so we've been getting up early, and it's cold out there, folks. We just did a 2.5 mile walk on the snow trails together right before the show as well. So
okay, well, so
next Tuesday.
That's why we're bad.
Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. We're watching it, and because of that, taking up my Tuesday night, this Saturday, tomorrow, which is the 25th of January, Mike watches Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 13, which I hear is a big one. So, if you want to be there.
The stars.
Actually, I think that's going to be at like noon tomorrow.
Nooner? Okay.
Yeah, like a lunch, a nice weekend lunch, because I have to then start drinking for the Eagles game on Sunday.
On Saturday?
Yes.
Great. Well, we're all handling our stress in different ways. But yeah, no, Far Beyond the Stars, noon tomorrow on Saturday with Mike. I'm going to try to join because it's a biggie. It is a big ol' episode that will be really, really fun to get
Speaking
into.
Of
I know
big,
folks are excited about it. Yes.
I'm sure we have big feelings, big thoughts on last week, Keith.
Oh, you know what that was? That's Mike code for Keith. Move on.
I just sort of have a meeting later, so I kind of have to push.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see how it is. It's all transactional.
There's a little something called work. If you want to give to that Patreon, so we don't have to go to work, patreon.com/KNM.
You and 10,000 of your best friends can join.
We really got to get on that.
So last week we did the episode Waltz, and here is what you had to say. Brian from Video Game Drive-By says, "Hey guys, nice hair, Mike."
Thanks.
Another absolute powerhouse showing from two of the best actors on the show. Heavy duet vibes in this episode. Many people describe this episode as a character assassination of Dukat. I am not in that camp. Charming villains make you like them so they can get away with their villainy, not because they are secretly misunderstood good guys. This is the Dukat we've had all along. This is a broken narcissist. His entire self-image is based on what others think of him, and when he broke, that image broke in his mind, and now he's dangerous. 100%. I couldn't agree more. If you were like, oh, Dukat's not that bad, you were not paying attention. because this episode did not change my opinion of Dukat at all. He was always this person, and that this was under, riding under literally everything he did. But you know what? This world and this country, not great at diagnosing charming, malignant narcissists these days.
No, and especially since, by the way, that's Tchaikovsky's Waltz of the Flowers. It is
thanks.
Public domain, so we're good.
We'll see.
I think. Who knows? Who cares? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Mike is in a dark. Well, we're all in a dark place.
But I'm gonna say, inside my heart, I always sort of am rooting for the ultimate redemption arc, and I thought Alaimo and Dukat could get there. Even the break with his daughter, that could have done it, but we went the other way, and I'm here for it.
Look, we all love redemption arcs, but see, unlike some of the others, right? The Darth Vader or whatever, where you sort of you start as a good person, life trauma, whatever, sends you off, you get, spun up in the wrong direction, and then you find your way home. We've never seen Dukat as anything other than what he is.
Yes, but there's a place, especially with the gray area of the universe that they've built here, there's a place that even Odo, right, during that occupation, working on Tarek Noor, putting us some sticky situations, you could, I don't want to say justify, but you can understand some of the decisions made. However, they never, until this moment, he never came out and was just like, F them, they're weaker, they're not as good, we are the superior race, giving us the whole Elon, right? But now we're there.
And I will say the difference, at least in my mind, between what Odo has done, which have been bad, and Dukat, and that is, I think, based on what we know of Odo, like all of us, is susceptible to making mistakes. Everything Dukat did was by intent. And so he wasn't pushed into doing it. He didn't accidentally do any of the things that he did. Everything he has done has been manufactured by intent, including his desperate attempt at a redemption arc. Right? No character has been so desperate to redeem himself by intent than Dukat. And it is malignant from top to bottom. That's my opinion. Anyway, Brian continues. I probably should have finished
He's so single-minded, you can almost call him monocot. Dicot. I'm trying to flower thing, Waltz of the Flowers. I'm trying to put it all together, Keith.
Oh, I thought you like mono as opposed to stereo.
Well, that also, single track, but like mono. This is not even. It's not even a double entendre. This is like, there's so many entendres here that I'm just gonna say the word entendre a bunch of times.
I tell you what, I don't like Dukat, but if monocot comes into my office.
Nice. Oh, yeah, that is a tasty topical reference.
Anyway, Brian was not expecting that one to come out today.
We'll see on Laughing. Google it, kids.
Exactly. Brian tries to continue, if I had let him, says he, meaning Dukat, is not, third paragraph, first comment. Yep. Dukat is not above burning every bridge on his way to burn down Bajor. And as someone who's been a victim of this exact type of megalomaniac, I enjoyed his meltdown greatly. But make no mistake, he is far more dangerous now, and I cannot wait to watch going forward. 90 imaginary Wayuns holding stem bolts. Where's my stem bolt? JD, the stem bolt that you made for me is such a major part of my daily life. I am holding that and walking that around the house literally every day. Kalana Dakmar says, Nana visitors, LOL in Dukat's crazy mind was great. Talked about the Orville last week. Seth MacFarlane actually tried to be a producer for Trek, but was turned down. Take it back. Give MacFarlane the Trek license. It's time. Give it to him. A joke fans made was how depressing it must have been to be on the Honshu. Other survivors breathing under the fine, and instead of a "Yay, you're saved, let us help," it's transport medical peep frowning. "Damn, it's not Cisco. Keep looking. You move out of the infirmary." That's exactly right. Kevin Miles says Mark Alimo was great. The only crime in this episode is that Mr. Alimo was not nominated for an Emmy. Absolute crime. Mm-hmm. So many Star Trek actors did not get recognized in the Emmys. The production crew did, but not the actors. Sucks. The growing conflict between Dukat and Cisco has reached the next level. Can't wait for what's next. This episode gets 93 self-sealing stem bolts. Hibernation Pod just quotes Mike and says, "Take that pen and either..." Yeah, we all know. YouTube viewer, I don't have a pen today. I do have a empty bottle of vitamin D. So let's see how long it takes Mike to get annoyed of me banging that around.
Don't you be careful where you bang that D, baby.
Well, my D is not in any danger of banging anything these days. YouTube viewer says there were 180 episodes of Golden Girls. Yeah, talk more about that. Do you really want to watch all of them?
Already watched all of them.
And will again.
Yeah, come on.
Maybe you can cherry pick the top 5 or 10 episodes. Robert Picardo was on an episode called The Operation. I'm on board for that one, but I don't care about the other 179. Well, you're just gonna miss out. We'll see for that one.
What are you talking about? When have we done highlights of anything? We do every friggin' second of everything.
First off, let's have some self-awareness. YouTube viewer, buddy, you're on this show by and for neurodivergent completionists.
Yeah.
You're here commenting on everything because I'm gonna put money you're one of us.
Yeah.
We're gonna cherry pick?
No.
Come on.
No, in all honesty, there's something. I probably can't back this up. I might come back to eat these words, but there's something of merit in each and every one of those episodes, even the bad ones.
No doubt, just like Deep Space Nine. Honestly, with Golden Girls, I've maybe seen 4 episodes.
Oh my God! It is literally. They say soup for the soul. That's it's such a tropey thing, but it is the balm of my clinical depression. That show since when I was a kid, through my touring life, through my adult life, through my marriage, it is everything. That show is the show.
Well, which is why if we do that show, these seats are gonna be reversed.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna be me and I'm gonna be Mike. I'm gonna have to wear a hat and be like, I'm cool. That's my mic. I'm cool.
8 seasons of The Practice, 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, trust me, you are due.
Basically,
to be in the captain's chair.
And what I'm choosing is the freaking Golden Girls. It says a lot of things.
It sure does. I think it says as much about it being soup for your soul as it does they're 25 minutes long.
Yeah. I also have watched now the first 2 of 4 seasons of Small Wonder again, straight through. I don't know, it's back in me.
Very strange. I saw that come horrific. Up on your Plex.
It's great and terrible.
What is happening?
It's bad. But it's good bad. Anyway,
YouTube continues, I normally like rational villains more than I like scene-chewing villains, but a very phenomenal actor can pull it off. Great villain speech the whole way through. They thought I was their enemy. They don't know what it is to be my enemy, but they will. And of course I really like the scene-chewing of fake Wayun and fake Kira. Damar was almost 100% in line with real Damar. Damar is always the straight man sycophant. I added sycophant. I give this episode 92 of 100 scene-chewing stem bolts. On a critical rewatch, I think parts of this episode I don't like are the scenes from the rescue party, especially the part with, "Oh, we rescued you? Ugh, you're not Cisco." I think this episode should have basically 100% been Cisco and Dukat with no filler. Obviously, I agree. JD says, I'm down with the Golden Girls watch-along. I don't know that I've watched every episode, but JD, unlike you, YouTube, his heart is open enough to watch the rest of the Golden Girls.
You know what? JD, you're my stan. All right?
There it is. I don't know what that means.
My Stan Spornak. You will.
But I will I've only seen 4 episodes, but do I have the our theme song written? You damn right I do.
Damn right. And also, there was a brief spin-off that ran, I think, less than a season, called The Golden Palace, because after B. Arthur had left the show, they tried to keep her going, and it starred a early career Don Cheadle.
Did it really?
So that'll be a nice little bonus once we get to the end to watch 1 or 2 of the... It didn't do good well, but it's worth seeing Don Cheadle try to act with the Golden Girls.
I'd also like to point out that, like, we're only a few years away from, like, Rue McClanahan was when she began.
Yeah, I know. They were in their 50s. They were supposed to be in their late 50s. We'll talk all about it Monday. Imagine if we ever did that show and we got through the end of it, Keith. What are these beards will look like at that point?
Oh, God. What will the world look like? That's my question.
We'll be deep into Voyager. We'll
we'll be done Voyager. There's more episodes of this than there are Voyager.
Well, Keith and I are just, like, tacitly looking for ways to stay friends.
It's not your personality.
I need to ensure I have somebody to talk to.
Oh, God. All right. Anyway, no. JD continues, Keith, you keep calling the Honshu little, but it has more internal volume than the Enterprise D. And that thing on top is a weapons pod bigger than on the Defiant. Yeah, I guess I have no sense of the scale.
I think you need to choose your words a little more carefully.
Apparently, like the Enterprise D internal volume, I think it is so big. I think they just did not think about it enough when they wrote the pilot, thinking about really the scale and scope of the size of the D. Because I saw I heard it, YouTube video on the volume, and it's like a city. Ridiculous. Anyway, not spoilery, but we do go back to Empok Nor next season, and they never mention finding his body. Except Ray Walston wasn't in Paradise Lost either. LMAO, I should make a poster of every episode of Star Trek in chronological order. Yes, obviously you should.
It's possible that some Voles got on board and just ate his body, right?
It's possible. I think Voles ate my brain, and I can't remember which episodes Ray Walston was in. It wasn't it, but it's we met him on Earth as Boothby, the janitor, the groundskeeper. That wasn't Paradise Lost? I don't know. I trust JD more than my brain, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, me too.
Also, this is very helpful. The gig is up means an engagement has ended or a secret plan has been discovered. With a G. The jig, with a J, is up means that a scoundrel has been found out and the law is on their way. Jig and jig are homographs, meaning they have multiple meanings. Jig can refer to a type of dance, a song, a fishing lure, a tool for making a jigsaw puzzle. Gig can refer to temporary remunerative work. We've had a lot of those. So Keith used gig here correctly.
Accidentally, though. The general turn of phrase for that situation in which is always the jig is up. When the cops catch the bad guys, the jig is up.
The secret plan has been discovered is gig. So
I looked up that same thing. It's just not right.
Your gig jig is up. I don't remember what I said. Although, in a way, they both kind of apply.
Fair.
Love the dramatic reading. We need more of those often.
Yeah, that's true.
This is an easy A, a solid 94 self-sealing stem bolts from me. DC, welcome, caught up with us, says I give this episode 89 self-sealing stem bolts. It's a great character focus for Dukat. He's always been a foil for Sisko, but I love how obsessed he is with not being celebrated in a way that Sisko is. What other kind of megalomaniacal needs to be celebrated? It really speaks to how much Dukat actually respects Sisko. Maybe more than anyone else, because in his mind, they are equals. I also think they missed a beat by not using Jake in this episode. He could have provided a stronger B story. Heck, he could have talked his way onto the Defiant with others and been more useful. Yeah, I think the show criminally underuses Jake, and I have an interesting piece of trivia about it coming up later.
Where Jake's been.
He's just chilling.
Miss him, man. I miss you, Jake. You're my boy, Jake.
Well, I have an interesting piece of trivia coming up later related to Jake. This episode also features one of my favorite Nana visitor performances ever. She's not in it much, but I loved watching her play Ducat's version of Kira. It makes his attempts to flirt with her even more unsettling because he clearly knows she's not into him.
That's a great insight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you reframe the things we've seen, the episodes we've seen, through the lens of how he thinks these people think of him, it does inform a lot.
Even he knows that she can't stand him. Yeah. Lastly, my Golden Girls email is on the way. I loved that show. So I think the most of the viewers are on board with that idea. I'm not sure I am, but everyone else is.
We're getting there. We're inching our way up there. We're inching our way up that vitamin D.
See, here's the thing, though. For me, it's all about workflow.
Yeah.
It's all about how many... it's hard enough to shoot the two things we're doing now once a week.
I agree.
So I'm trying to figure out how do I fit this into my life, which is fairly full.
I hear you, but they're 22-minute episodes, so I feel like we could do three in a load, and then have. You know what? We'll talk about it another time.
We can't though because the way we're structured the episode, it's going to take at least an hour to shoot an episode.
Yeah.
I'm not 3 hours.
So we do 2.
I'm not doing 2 either. Well, we'll talk about it.
I mean, do it every other weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board. Like, I love the idea of the show. Like, I'm really on board with the concept. I've got to figure out the scheduling.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
We're working our way there. We're working our way.
Who mourns?
You don't have to. Keith didn't have to even entertain the idea, but he's a friend. And Keith, all I have to say to you is thank you for being a friend.
That's not going to be our theme song, but it's going to be close to that. It's going to be close. All right. The Who Mourns for Morn, Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 12. Get that thingy there for the things. Aired for the YouTube timings. I hate that part.
Me too.
We need an intern. Suck. We really need an intern.
I feel like there's an AI that'll do it for us somewhere.
We can't pay you. We can't pay ourselves. But
no,
we
that
just need
adds a whole thing.
We
now have to put like a giant gigabyte thing. We have to give them access. We'll figure it out.
This aired on February 4th, 1998. Our long national... nightmare is the wrong word because Candle in the Wind is great, but it has finally been extinguished. And who extinguished it? Janet Jackson with Together Again.
It's so nice to see you every weekend when we do our Golden Girls pod. It's been 2 weeks cause we filmed 2 together. Wait, what's the name of the song again real quick? I was going to work
Together Again.
And so, thank you for being a friend. We're together again. Oh, oof. I had a game plan, right?
All right, so...
The game plan was like, just feed the ball to Saquon, but, the snow came and we had to throw it. We had to air it out.
This week, somebody new commented on our pilot for Deep Space Nine.
God bless
you.
They're
like, it was so funny when Mike sang. Whoever that is, I desperately hope you get to this moment, and I'd love to hear whether you still like that.
It's funny, a few weeks ago, speaking of not aging, I was watching some Quantum Leap. Love it. That was the other show I really was going to maybe pitch.
Oh, Quantum Leap, yes.
Yeah, it was just awesome. I love Quantum Leap. I will stand by that. I was watching an episode, though. I sent Keith a clip, and it's just like just watching it on regular network TV, and Sam opens the closet, and he has the character that he has leapt into has Down syndrome.
Oh, yes.
And he uses the R word, and I was like, ooh.
Like the hard R.
That's tough to, retcon that into a funny podcast. Now, the Golden Girls have some things that don't age well either, but I feel like in a 20-minute sitcom comedy, it's easier to sort of explain away.
And their heart was really in the right place. Yeah. And so much more of it holds up than should.
Yeah.
Than would normally do. All right, anyway, after the musical interlude, we might have a new song in our cassette on our way to the movies. Not a new movie, though, because Titanic was still number 1. Now 8 weeks at number 1.
8 weeks, number 1. It's near, it's far. Hey, wherever you are.
Wherever you are. That's what you're gonna go see on the big old screen. Mike, what was on the small screen tonight?
Keith, we were rocketing into season 4 of Friends. Man, remember when Friends was just airing on TV? I didn't watch Friends in its initial run. There was a show.
I tried to watch Friends. I got like 8 episodes in. I'm like, nah.
I like Friends now, but Keith, there was a popular show airing on NBC around this time. It starred Kirstie Alley. It was not Cheers. Do you remember what it was called?
Oh, God.
I love these dead shows.
Yeah, I'm about to say something offensive, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, don't say it.
It's not like Veronica's Closet. It's
Veronica's Closet.
Is it really?
Yes, well done.
Oh my God, how do I know that?
I don't know. The bad thing needs to be said now needs to be said about you on CBS, 60 Minutes, Chicago Hope. You know Chicago Hope.
I love Chicago Hope.
ABC, we had Dharma and Greg, another show I never
David
watched,
E. Kelly,
but I heard it was great. Yep. The Drew Carey Show, which looking back, I loved the Drew Carey Show. I never really dug it.
It's great. It's a good show.
He only jumped the shark when he tried to host Whose Line, and he was just terrible at it. Beverly Hills 90210.
He hosted Whose Line for like the entire run.
No, there was a British guy for many, many years before it went to the U.S. Who was far superior than Drew Carey. Party 5, and of course on the WB we had Buffy and Dawson's Creek. Man, WB used to rock it. And Keith, never forget, right around now, 98, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is when South Park had just begun and was making TV regret all of its choices.
And speaking of random neuron fired when you said Dharma and Greg, right? Not a good show. But you want to know what? This is also going to age me.
Were they married, Dharma and Greg?
I don't remember. I think so. In 1998, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got, because we're so rural, we could not get cable TV. We still cannot get cable TV.
Yeah, Starlink, that baby.
Well, we do now. Because it's satellite. So we got our first satellite dish, but this was before DirecTV, before
one of those
Dish
giants?
Network, one of the big old giants that you had to rotate to find satellites, that kind of stuff.
Oof. Those are like mausoleums now. A lot of people still have those in their yards, and they're just collecting.
It was really interesting, but it also it was sort of random what you got, because those satellite feeds were used for the networks internally. And so you were sort of accessing the Dropbox of the networks.
Oh, interesting. So it wasn't a provider per se.
No. And so there was no way to provide. It was just you got what you got, and sometimes you got this was NBC San Francisco you had access to, or whatever it was.
So you got this satellite, and then you would have used the TV's tuner function to collect whatever it could collect.
You would use the satellite function because each satellite had 24 channels, and then you go to a different satellite, and then you go to another 24 channels or whatever.
Cool.
And so you'd get a lot of wild feeds, and so that's actually how we watched Voyager. Because we didn't get UPN, but what we were able to watch UPN distributing Voyager to their affiliates for broadcast later. And so we would watch the wild feed. There's no commercials. It would just have dead air in the commercial times, and you'd see it before it aired in your local area. Anyway, point being, I saw the weirdest thing on there. I mean, beyond the some of that
when
there too.
When two grown-ups love each other, Keith.
When I saw when 2 or 3 or 4 grown-ups loved each other, we found that. But
and some sort of marsupial.
I found the pilot of Dharma and Greg being broadcast in the editing process. So I saw the pilot before they added the laugh track.
Interesting. Terrible.
Dry. And I'm like, what is this? Just dry lines and dead silence. I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? Is this a comedy? What is this?
So this is funny, dude. So Small Wonder. This is the kind of fun stuff, and I think a Golden Girls show we could talk about because it's this type of network sitcom. They just have to experiment with things. Anyway, so the first 3 episodes of Small Wonder, which is, for those of you who don't know, this really bad network sitcom about this guy who works at a robotics factory and has somehow created with a Mac Apple II, a lifelike girl robot.
Daughter.
Yeah, so there's like a sort of a Turing vibe. There's some really interesting sci-fi concepts just in the most low-budget crap show you can imagine. But the first 3 episodes-ish, the laugh track is all like studio audience, grown-ups, adult men and women laughing at this sort of what very much is a kid-focused show because the majority of the stars are kids. Starting episode 4, laugh track switches to kids.
Really?
And that's when the show starts to get popular because they were like, oh, rather than just like write the show differently, we'll just inform what the audience is supposed to be by changing the laugh track.
That's crazy. Yeah. Interesting. Well, hey, look, sound design makes a lot of difference. All right, sorry everyone. We're going to get to the episode at some point, I swear.
We will talk about Star Trek at any moment.
What was Voyager doing this week? It was the episode Hunters. Uh-oh, we've met the Hirogen. Hold on to your butt. This episode, who mourns for Morn? Morn is here to remind you what the heck we're talking about because we don't remember.
That's true.
But this was directed by Victor Lobel, who last directed For the Uniform and has an important episode coming up. He also directed, so keep your butts. It was written by Mark O'Connell, who last wrote For the Cause. I might have reversed those two in my head. Whatever, don't come for me. Let's do some trivia. What do you say, Morn?
I'm still stuck on keep your butts.
I walked! I exercised before this! It's low-cal key.
Hold on to your butts, maybe? Did you keep your butts?
Well...
JD, I need a t-shirt. It just keeps saying, keep your butts.
Let me tell you, hold on to your butts is very ableist. We don't know if you're capable of holding onto your butt in a traditional way. I'm saying the more global, keep your butt. However you choose to affix your butt
however you identify where your butt begins, ends.
And how you affix it to yourself so as not to lose possession of your butt. You keep it. You don't hold on to it. You can tape it on. Who knows? Get a stapler. Whatever. Just keep your butt, man.
I will, dude. I promise.
You know what?
I have every intention to keep it.
Double down. All right, what are we doing? Trivia. All right, so here's where I'm going to get a little hot because I actually have strong feelings about the production of this, and Armin's going to speak for me. So Mark Allen Shepard, in addition to his regular role as Morn, appears as a Bajoran officer whom Quark asks to sit in Morn's usual place at the bar. It's a great cameo, of course.
Cool, very cool.
Like, great little moment there.
I hear a butt coming.
It's coming. The Matador painting in Morn's quarters is one that I pointed out when we saw it, is something he bought from Quark's auction in the Cards. Nice little continuity thing there. Greg Itzen is back, who we remember from many episodes of The Practice as many different characters, but this is the second character he has done on Deep Space Nine.
You're not supposed to know this, but you'll be on Deep Space Nine!
There you go, for the Practice fans. I
guarantee you that's the right key.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right. He will also go on to do Dr. Dysek in Critical Care, Captain Sopek in Shadows of Pajem, and Admiral Black in a Mirror Darkly coming up on Voyager and Enterprise. Quark states this is a wormhole, so we can address it right now.
I'm looking.
Come on, hit it.
Oh no, it can only be on that other scene.
Oh, it's hidden. All right. Well, we'll get to it. But Quark states several times in this episode that gold is worthless. Yet, in Little Green Men, he's very willing to trade for it, looking on Fort Knox. So a bit of a continuity there about the wormhole. I think that's the right key too. Is gold valuable or not? Depends on who's writing it and whether it's funny. The noise, this is a good sound design thing, because my uncle and my brother were already working on Voyager at this point, so did not make this sound. But the noise that Morn makes when he regurgitates the Latinum at the end took supervising sound editor Mace Matazoian several days of Foley recording, and over 6 hours of editing to complete. Yeah, that's organic stuff. That's tough. The famous one that my uncle did was in the Next Gen episode Tin Man, which they go inside sort of a living ship that has like a digestive system and organs that they're walking around inside of it. And so he did that by eating a bunch of pizza and soda and sticking a microphone in his belly button to get that sound, in case you're wondering at home. All right, so here's the where I think everyone should be justifiably hot about this. Armin Shimmerman was not fond of this episode, commenting that's one of the iniquities about Mark, Alan Shepard, still being an extra. Here's a whole episode, meaning Morn, a whole episode around someone who's basically a background performer, and that's ridiculous. The definition of a background performer is someone you don't pay attention to. There's someone in the background. So how can you have an entire episode based around them? It shows one of the inequities of what's happening over a show that the producers are still treating Mark as though he's an extra. Renee often says, I've created a monster in Mark because I was very solicitous about him in the beginning, and so was David Livingston, who was not only a director but also our line producer. Between the two of us, we got a lot more coverage for Mark, and it's taken off from there. So, point being, Morn is a character on the show. Morn has an action figure. Morn has an episode entirely about him. Morn appears in more episodes than Jake Sisko. And Mark Alan Shepard is not even credited in this episode.
Yeah, that's some BS.
He was never credited. He was never paid as an actor. He was always as a background actor. He's probably spent as many hours in the makeup chair as any of the main cast members, and it is criminal.
And when you think this episode, what an opportunity, right, to cross that line, right? At the very end, he maybe says his first line, and bang, Morn's in the show now, And
whether he says a line or not, pay him as an actor. He's not a background actor. Mm-hmm. Pay him and credit him as a character on the show because he is. So yeah, I think it's an injustice.
I'm sure it's online, but I'd love to know sort of the machinations of that whole thing, because you got to imagine his agent was outraged, right?
Well, and this is where Armin Shimmerman, being sort of a high up in the union, actors union, worked towards this, because agent can scream all he wants. That's the contract.
Yeah.
The union contract at that point, it has to do with whether you speak or not and how many lines you get. That determines everything. It doesn't matter how much work you're doing or how important you are to the thing.
That's scale. That doesn't mean they can't do something else.
Oh yeah, well they had an excuse not to.
Right. Okay, fair. Yeah.
So that's how they justified it. You want to know who perhaps should probably justify the financial foolishness of this, but needs no excuse in our heart.
Yeah, these folks who have given way more than we could ever repay. Not that we're repaying you guys, but we're keeping it. That said, these are the proud, the patrons. And, here's the thing. We're very upfront about this. We are, speaking of inequity, look, not everybody's got spare change. I get it. Trust me. And so we didn't want to gatekeep any of the content, get the watch-alongs. We're going to watch this movie this weekend. $1 gets you in. I let you can a la carte different things on our Patreon page. The lowest you're allowed to charge for that is $3, which is ridiculous since you can get everything for $1, but that is an option. Point being, we have many people on this list who give more, just like Star Trek could have given to Morn, and they didn't. So we appreciate it, and we thank you. Those fine people are here. I'm not going to read their names this week because we are short on time, but that doesn't mean they aren't being read in perpetuity in my heart at all times. Thank you.
Long in our hearts, no doubt.
Hold on to your butt, keep it, and join the Patreon at patreon.com/Kane. Is anybody new this week? I don't think I wanted to shout out anybody new yet. No? Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, well, keep your butt, unless you're trying to walk your butt off.
Yeah.
Like I am. I'm trying to lose my butt. Actually, my butt's fine.
No, your butt's going to be popping after all that walking.
I'm trying to lose my gut. There it is.
That's fine.
All right, so you know what's great about that? Gave me time to go grab myself another beverage because I had pounded through my Mountain Dew Zero.
I've been making overnight oats, and then I've been eating them all day. It's been really helpful. Keep me from snacking.
So how do you just add?
I got a little mason jar, right? I put
raw
rolled oats in there, and then I put like a little bit of trail mix, and then I put a little bit of yogurt, and then I pour in milk. I'm using almond milk. You let it go overnight, or for as many nights as you want. It's beautiful the next day.
Yeah, actually, because I had some of those. Like pre-made in the cup. Those delicious.
Yeah, for $20, I made like 7 days worth.
Yeah, I should do that. I like that. We have a lot of oats in our apocalypse storage.
Baby.
So we're all set up.
This
to do
episode
it.
brought to you by Old Guys Eating Oatmeal.
Golden Girls, come see our show. All right, so our guest stars this week include Gregory Itzen as Hane, Brad Greenquist as Crit, Bridget Allen White as Laurel, Cyril O'Reilly as Nosk, and that is the end of the guest stars credited in this episode, but F you and Mark Allen Shepard as Morn. Let's go into our screening room.
That last couple seconds of me trying to, I think that was early on, and I didn't know like where the theme song went.
You're just adding stuff.
Yeah, it's great. It's really shows.
Craziness. So in our teaser, it's a typical evening in Quark's, and Odo is complaining to Morn about a shipment of beets that Morn has left rotting in the cargo bay. You know how long you have to leave beets to rot like that? Long time.
I thought that was such a that had to be like an inside joke or something. The beets is so specific.
Well, but it's always that way. I mean, every food in all of Star Trek, and this is a joke from Next Conversation, it's a made-up word and a word you know. So it's flirp flarpian salsa. You know, like that's the way it works on Star Trek. But it turns out that it's just a hologram of Morn. And Quark is delighted to tease Odo about not noticing he's talking to a hologram. Pretty funny. Morn has been away on business for 2 weeks, and Quark keeps it there because Morn is the mascot of Quark's. Of course he is. Don't pay him.
Keith, this was the moment.
This is the moment.
You can hear the tepid applause coming. Where it clicked in my brain that Morn is Norm.
Okay,
Just
well,
now.
hey.
It took a while.
It took 6 seasons and 12 episodes, despite the fact I've said that on air multiple times.
Oh, that makes it better. I mean, to be honest, it makes it better.
What I'm really looking forward to is about halfway through season 7. Be like, hey Keith, you ever think Norm is an anagram? Yeah, that makes sense. So they both make jokes about Morn never shutting up, also a running gag. Then Dax comes in and looks like she saw a ghost, and she and Cisco announce that Morn's ship was caught in an ion storm, and he's dead. Uh-oh. So in Act 1, Morn's memorial service is naturally being held at Quark's, and per Lurian custom, apparently Morn is a Lurian, I don't think I knew that, everyone is supposed to bring gifts of food and drink for him to eat in the afterlife. I like that idea.
That's very Egyptian.
It is. It totally is. You know, just like I'd like some beef jerky, maybe some delicious diet sun-kissed orange. Hard to find.
Did you fake
on a
your
discount.
death because you wanted to see what your friends thought of you? No, I just need some snacks.
Need some snacks. The Super Bowl's coming up. I want to just load the fridge.
Pringles expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Pringles and Pop-Tarts. It's gonna be great. Worf says that Morn has been sparring with him once a week. And Dax admits she had a crush on Morn, but he turned her down. Worf handles this about as well as you imagine in the... You know, honestly, like, Worf's controllingness and his jealousy is like... if anything, Deep Space Nine does so well fixing things, completing ideas from Next Gen. That part is they're doing Worf dirty. I don't like it. It's a bad color.
I don't know. Shane Gillis does this great bit about how his ex-girlfriend dated a Marine, and he goes off. He's like, now I don't want to disrespect Marines, but I feel like it's my duty to talk ish on Marines just to kind of downplay my raging jealousy, which I think is pretty funny.
That's honest. So Quark is naturally spending his morning moving merchandise to the Morn mourners. Get it? Moving merchandise to the Morn mourners.
Yeah, we got it. Well done.
Comedy. It's linguistic jokes.
I'm so glad you pointed it out because it was so nuanced that we wouldn't have got it.
Hey, Mike, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but Morn,
he sits right at the end of the bar.
An anagram for
Norm
was a character on Cheers.
Which is about a bar.
Yeah. Jillian was Diane in the Cheers National Tour.
I know, which I was going to go see, and then it didn't stay open.
Yeah, they forgot to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It was really good, though.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I got to find they had to have shot it somewhere. I got to get a copy of that. Anyway, Odo calls Quark on his opportunism. Quark says Morn never paid his tab and ate a lot because, and this will matter later, he has 2 stomachs. Quark then speechifies about Morn, finishing with a request for his friends to always keep his seat warm. I like all of this for Quark because, I think Quark actually did care about Morn. Also, it's him being opportunistic. Also, the way in which he is opportunistic, keeping his seat always filled, is really smart. I like it. I like all of it.
You know what's funny, Keith? Your trivia has ruined something for me a little bit. I got to set this up briefly. So my friends and I used to do this thing, Ricky and Erica specifically, you know who they are. Nobody else does, but just so you know. And we would pretend when other people were around, every once in a while, we would pretend to get into a fight, right? And the whole promise was you have to commit to the bit. So it's not like you just if you start that joke and you have to see it through. So one time, I'll never forget it. We were at my apartment with Erica and Ricky was there. And we had a fake fight. We blah blah blah, and he cussed at me and he slammed the door and he left. Right now, customarily in a joke like that, you come back 5 minutes later, but no, he left and he committed to the bit. So I've appreciated 6 seasons in that we've committed to the bit of Morn doesn't talk, and we constantly talk about how chattery he is. Right. And at some point that stops being funny, but you're like, well, they committed to the bit, so I appreciate it. Yeah, but now knowing that they're not paying the SOB, and they keep making the same stupid joke to justify it, now I hate the joke.
Oh, the fake fight. I did that in high school.
Yeah, I don't know why we started it again, but it was funny.
Me and my buddy Patrick Bergeron, we learned some basic stage combat, and then in the middle of it wasn't a cafeteria, but the courtyard or whatever, everyone was there, we did this huge fist fight. We were such dorks.
You say that in the past tense, yeah.
Shocking everbody.
I can't speak for Bergeron currently, but
I can hear the 10 people on the internet gasp at that idea.
You didn't have a Curzon, but you had a Bergeron.
I did.
You call him old man now too.
Yeah, I do. Well, he is an old man now. He went to high school with me.
Yeah.
So then Cisco comes up to Quark and announces, guess what? Morn left everything to you. And Quark is naturally delighted. So he goes to the security office and collects his stuff from Odo. But alas, Morn's broke. Odo reminds him that he has inventory from a shipping business, which turns out to be aforementioned rotting beets. But maybe there's something in his quarters. So they go to Morn's quarters and discover a Matador painting, which we've seen before, and a hot tub filled with mud, which turns out to be Morn's bed. Cool little detail.
Right.
I mean,
yep.
I don't know, it'd be interesting to sleep in a hot tub. I think I'd get a little pruny. However,
I had a girlfriend who had a waterbed, and let me tell you, not all it's cracked up to be.
I had a waterbed in high school for a little bit. so not worth. I don't know why.
Really bad
everybody,
on the back. Yeah.
like 80s, it was like that was the pinnacle. That was like how you were like cool. My parents slept in a waterbed for like 20 years.
Yeah, and then you're like, what would I do with that $3,000 if I could have it back?
Oh my god! And it's not that comfortable.
No. It's very hard to get any sort of traction if you're doing anything extracurricular.
Which let me tell you, in high school, I didn't need much traction because there's plenty of extracurricular, but yeah. Anyway, not a lot of momentum, if you know what I mean.
Hey.
Oh. Hey, all right, yeah, well, we will address the naked lady in the room. Odo leaves, and out pops a naked alien lady. Turns out it's Morn's ex-wife, Laurel. I'll pause here and let Mike make jokes about discovering Jillian in a mud tub.
How'd she get in the room?
Well, we know. No, take that off. She's a criminal. They did a heist.
Come on, the wormhole is. Come on, Odo. Come on.
This
security
whole thing,
sucks.
It's not. Well, security has always sucked.
I know. It's just, but it's become. We're coming up in your quarterly review, right? We've been telling you for 7 years. The security's bad.
They got a deal on locks on Temu.
Okay. Well, if you got a deal, if you saved us some money, then okay.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Got a good deal, and I'm wondering, like, cause I replaced the locks on the house here with like those automatic locks that you do your fingerprint on.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. I'm curious whether they're secure. Who knows?
I gotta tell you, Lady in Goop, funny. Lady in Goop via screenshots makes me feel weird. I'm pushing through.
Well, if it's just you on the waterbed, it doesn't cause as much trouble when you're pushing through.
This is forget it. I've got too many. Let's go.
Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry, it's distracting. Yeah, thank you. Leave it there. She turned. Yes. So
what do you say?
Yeah. She immediately starts seducing Quark, saying that Morn said he wanted Quark to have everything that was his. Gross. She mentions that Morn had a gigantic retirement fund, 1,000 bricks of gold-pressed Latinum that he won in the Lesepian lottery. And she says now that it's gone, it's all ours. Very emphasis on ours. So in Act 2, Quark drains the mud tub looking for the Latinum. Laurel is disappointed that Quark doesn't know where it is, but she keeps the seduction going. And to Quark's credit, he's like, I know what you're doing. And she says, what am I doing? Just so we're clear, the Latinum's mine. So I think earlier Quark would have been like,
Keith, his defiance lasts 11 seconds until she touches his earballs.
Let me be very clear. He is still very much but at least he is doing so informed of the situation.
He cuts a deal.
He knows what's happening. She threatens to sue, but Quark accepts the carrot in the interests of his stick. Later, Dax... like that? Later, Dax tries to warn him that she's manipulating him, but it seems like he knows what's happening. He said, and he clangs some of it together. Beautiful, isn't it? And the way it catches the light. I wonder who came up with the idea of suspending liquid latinum inside worthless bricks of gold. And Dax has a pretty good line. Probably somebody who got tired of making change with an eyedropper.
Nailed it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good line.
Mm-hmm. You know what his little, like, the cards look like? The Viewmaster discs.
Yes. At some point, we should start getting a quarter for everything we say that makes us sound old.
Dude, Viewmaster, that technology holds up.
Everybody give us one Werther's Originals for every one of these stupid
Werther's
covers.
Originals also hold up.
Delicious.
Yes.
100%.
A little rough on the top of your mouth and little ridges, but we'll allow it.
Werther's? No.
What am I thinking of? Oh, no, I'm thinking of those cherry candies, those hard cherry candies, but that get gooey in the middle, but in the beginning you're like...
Strawberry.
Yes.
Yes, and those are great.
Those are great, eventually. The first couple minutes, it's work.
I mean, you're going to bleed, but you're going to be happy because you get to the goo.
Yeah. You can't mix the blood and the goo mixed together. You don't know.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Me too.
Please unsubscribe for your
no
for the good of yourself.
I gotta prove to my mom I did something.
And this is gonna do that?
No.
You're gonna tell her, look at my YouTube channel, Mom.
Great mom story. I got a quick share. So she sent me this. She always sends me the scam emails she gets, right? She's like, "What should I do about this?" And I'm always say, "Just delete it. Just delete the scam email. Don't do anything." Anyway, she got one today. It's asking for a ransom, Keith, because this person is saying that he's put a bug on her computer and he's seen all the nasty things she's done on that porn site.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And he's gonna release to all her friends and families and neighbors if she doesn't pay this money.
Right, sure.
I just like, Mom, are you frequently visiting porn sites? She's like, no. I was like, well, then it's probably not true. But then it just made me think, but what if my mom is like going into some hardcore porn sites and is being held hostage by like a porn pirate? This is hysterical.
Somebody emailed us about thinking, this automatic software to have us like cut YouTube shorts out of our content, which actually I think is probably a good idea. That 100% should be what the YouTube short is for this episode.
Mike's Mom and the Porn Pirate?
Yes. That's a good children's book. Mike's Mom and the Porn Pirate.
She once called up and she's like, Mike, that's just dicks. Like, what? She's like, everything. My mouse pointer, everything's a dick. She clicked on something, Keith, that gave her some sort of virus, dude. It changed all of her font graphics. It was like dicks everywhere. I swear to God. It is one of the best phone calls I've ever gotten. And then I was like, well, what did you click? And she goes, nothing. I think it was from this email. I was like, who's the email from? And she goes, Wells Fargo. I was like, no, the bank didn't give you a Trojan dick horse.
Maybe it did.
Wells Fargo
has some
I was like, no, Mom. What else have you
when
been
the
clicking?
Wells Fargo wagon gets coming round, they fill your computer up with dicks.
And damn, I had to deal with it. And damned if it wasn't her little mouse pointer. It wasn't a little purple dick. Oh man, that was years ago. That was funny.
I mean, honestly,
it's just it wasn't like, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" Nothing. The first words out of her mouth was,
"It didn't drain her bank account. It was just, I'm going to make everything a dick."
It's just dicks.
I gotta say, I can't fault that virus.
Yeah.
But I'm also someone whose parent has asked that same question. Anyway, where was I?
Oh, these guys are great.
Yes. So later, Quark returns to his quarter to discover two green alien criminals who are here for the Latinum as well. They give us some very basic mob dialogue, saying that Morn owed them a loan of 1,000 bricks of Latinum. What do you know? Quark is not fooled and asks for documentation, which of course they don't have.
They're sort of like De Niro, and if you took De Niro and Pacino from Heat, right? And you married them with Harry and Marv, the Sticky Bandits.
And then put them in a classic musical.
Yes, Guys and Dolls.
They're
adjacent.
like Guys and Dolls, gangsters. Yes.
That's what you got.
100%. And he weirdly negotiates with them and mentions that there are more creditors angling for the money and offers them 50% and the painting, which of course they smash over his head. Odd that he negotiates with all these people. Like he sort of like gives it all up pretty darn easily here.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll give you this huge percentage of it. I feel like Quark, if he thought this was actually legitimate and he were legitimately entitled to it, would have been like, go pound sand. Go talk to Odo.
Or, I mean, he's not signing anything, or he's making these tacit agreements knowing that he's going to like...
just to get out of the situation.
Own them in court later.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, after
especially
they
since he's not in possession of the money yet, so he's just...
It's all
hypothetical, yeah.
Yeah. So after they smash him over the head with the painting, they leave and Quark discovers hidden in the painting is a claim slip for a storage locker. This might be it. Quark is very excited. So he immediately goes to open this, but Odo makes Quark open the locker in front of him. and he's bummed out to find that inside the locker is only a single brick of gold-pressed latinum. But he's not deterred for long, because he notices that written on the back is a bullion bank account. Mike?
Bullion!
There it is. Quark plans to call the bullions and says deliver the money as soon as possible. And on his way home, he runs into Laurel again. And she keeps trying to seduce him, but he has got his eye on the prize. He then heads to the turbolift to discover that she's lifted the brick with the bank account written on it, of course. Gonna Huel. Totally Hueled that.
Mm-hmm.
But Quark knows. He's not concerned, because he's the only one the bank will give the money to as the rightful heir. But then, he's accosted by the green alien mobsters, musical theater monsters, and they keep the pressure on. So, Quark goes back to his quarters to call the bullions.
Bullion!
But is accosted by Greg Itzen. Itzen's here. Who abducted Jadzia.
It's me! Greg.
Bullion! So Itzen, under the name of Hain, claims to be from Lurian Security. He spins a tale that Morn was a crown prince, but had renounced his throne. And now the royal family wants their money back, and that his will has been nullified. Which is, it is interesting that this one is the most preposterous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's actually, I think, a cool little beat of storytelling, like, retroactively, because you don't know in the moment. I didn't put this together till the reveal happens. And of, like, each of the, you know when we had all the Ferengis get together, and we didn't have a lot of time to sort of learn
like
about them.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah. This is very much that, but in reverse. Like, there's a little bit of storytelling about each one of them in their tactic. Like, she's just gonna go straight sex, because she's like, this is the quickest line from A to B for her. For the musical theater guys, they're like, let's just go violence, because that's pretty much the quickest line. And this guy's like, nah, man.
I'm telling a story.
I'm Rapunzel on this stuff.
I've got this costume I built. Like,
he's like, I stole it from Star Wars. I'm clearly an 100%. Imperial administrator or whatever.
It is interesting because, like, he reads as the most competent, but he's the one who, like, did this so unnecessarily elaborate. Because imagine he doesn't know that the other ones are there.
Right.
So, like, if he knew they were there and was like, oh, I can't take the most obvious pass, I have to go this weird one. But he thinks this is the first point of contact to do this crazy elaborate story.
I'm refreshing Keith up. You're getting refreshed.
Oh, I'm back. I'm fresh and full of life. So Quark mentions Laurel, and Hain immediately reacts. He says he wants to arrest Laurel and give Quark a reward for arresting her. Quark's like, okay. Then Quark mentions the aliens. Hain reacts to that too, but they have a deal. Quark is going to get the Latinum here, then Hain is going to help catch them red-handed trying to steal it. Meanwhile, we see O'Brien and Bashir keeping Mourn's seat filled, and those 2 minutes of the episode filled as well. So at this point, like you said, you weren't on to the whole thing yet. So did you have a theory what was happening here?
No. I kind of just like...
Shot for the ride.
I can't remember. Yeah, I buckled up. It was clearly we're just having like a little bit of a lighthearted carousel ride, so I just popped on.
Yeah, okay, there it is.
I grabbed that horse's pole and just let it take me.
YouTube Shorts.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? She walked into wardrobe today and went, I'm sorry, excuse me, what?
Oh, I just swallowed so many other lyrics I could have said. Mm-hmm. You know what I was going to go. Whew. All right, focus, here we go.
Keep your butt back.
Keep your butt. So back in Quark's quarters, he finds Laurel there, who has broken in. While we're talking, the two green alien mobsters break in too. He hides Laurel, and Quark greets them and says the Latinum will be here tomorrow. Then Hain starts to break in, and the brothers hide in the other part of Quark's quarters, and we are doing full-on door-slammy farce, which is fun. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Soon, everybody meets everybody, and we find out they're all lying to Quark. We've now met the whole crew that performed a famous bank heist with Morn 11 years ago.
So Mourn's basically D.B. Cooper.
Yes, it's exactly right. But Morn ran off with all of the Latinum and then waited for the statute of limitations to expire, which it just did a week ago. They all agree to wait for the Latinum and split it, which, to be fair, if you pull off a heist, that's what you were planning to do anyway.
Yeah.
And they don't need Quark anymore. So in Act 5, they all debate how to kill Quark, but he points out that he needs to take delivery of the Latinum. And after debating cutting off his thumb, they agree to split the money 5 ways. It's still a lot of Latinum, and we get a pretty funny beat of the Dum Dum Gangsters, fuzzy math. It's another old reference. So they all agree to wait with Quark in the bar, and they ask each other, so which one of you killed Morn? And are surprised that none of them did.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you don't know that Morn faked his own death, and you're dumb. So it's kind of, you don't know outwardly, but you know, I think they know you know, so it's fun to watch them sort of. Maybe not. I don't know. The way they try to reveal it at the end, maybe they don't.
Well, did you know he was dead at this point, or was still alive?
Yeah, I figured that pretty quickly. I didn't put that they were the heist crew and all that. I thought was kind of cool storytelling, and I never would have put that together. But him being dead, I didn't quite buy.
Well, I know that the production crew in the writing debated whether or not to kill Morn.
I guess it didn't save him.
That would have been so depressing.
It would have been depressing, and it didn't really save him any money. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Tesla.
Okay. No, thank you. So Odo comes in wondering why the bar is closed, and Quark gives him a coded message telling him when they're receiving the Latinum.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, come rescue me at 1600 hours. Smart. When it finally arrives in the cargo bay, they all go and open the box. Inside is a giant gleaming stack of gold bars. Quark practically crawls in, giving them all a chance to pull phasers on each other. And here comes the standoff. I thought the stage pictures there of Quark going in, the phasers coming out, and him backing into all the phasers, like that was what a great
because of the type of show this is, we don't often get to call out the blocking, but I thought that the blocking here was really cool and clever and created, like you said, some great pictures.
It was fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's sort of a romp.
It's whimsy. It's whimsical.
Yeah. But I liked that staging. Yeah, the blocking. Really good.
It's very
blocking.
much an exploration of genre, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's comedy, heisty.
Yeah.
Silliness. So anyway, so they all pull phasers, and here comes the standoff. Then they, of course, inevitably start shooting and bickering amongst themselves, and Quark dives into the box with the gold press Latinum. Odo comes in and arrests them all. This leads Quark to realize, the Latinum is his! He's very excited. It is interesting here with the showdown that they, I think in keeping with it being a farce, didn't kill anybody.
Right.
Right, because the darker farce, which is what I would have written, they all would have fired, they all would have died. But that's not the tone we're going for.
Or one of them survives and is mortal, is like critically injured, or...
I would have had them all explode. Just like blood everywhere.
Just goop everywhere?
Just goop everywhere. I'm dark. Anyway, Quark clangs the bars together and discovers, they're just made of gold dust, and there's no Latinum at all. No! Very good knowing from Armin here. So, later, Quark yells at Morn's chair, when in walks Morn! See, Mike, It's an anagram.
It reminds me of Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, yeah, it's weird. I wonder if there was some sort of
almost like
thought put into
Morn
that.
would want to go where everybody knows his name, you know?
Yeah, and be like a functional alcoholic. Right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, he faked his own death.
You know, when you look at him, you know he's only 27.
Yeah, it's been rough. He faked his own death, as we said, to get rid of his co-conspirators that he robbed. I mean, to be fair, he robbed a bank to begin with, but like, it wasn't so great to his...
Statute of limitations wasn't that long on like major bank heist.
It's only 10 years. You'd think it would be a little faster, but no. Quark is annoyed, but impressed with the scheme, and asks, "So, where'd you put the Latinum?" Morn then regurgitates some into a glass. He kept it all in his second stomach. Morn then gives some to Quark. Apparently, it's a lot, and Quark is delighted. It was all worth it. Interestingly, from a production standpoint, I think probably because you didn't, even an extra, you probably shouldn't fill their mouth with mercury.
Yeah, fair.
It was a CG. The liquid there was CG. So, really? There you go.
It did look good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Well, I mean, like the liquid mercury from after Terminator 2, they'd sort of figured out. But anyway, that's cool. We did it. Quark got his money. Morn is still alive. The musical theater gangsters are, getting dealt with by Odo.
Yeah. No harms, no fouls. And we're all a little richer at the end.
Bunch of norms. Okay, here we are. We've mourned for Morn, but Morn is back. Let's find our best moment.
I gotta be honest with you. I think the best moment is the denouement, the final scene, the kind of the reveal. I always love like your whodunits and stuff when they go back and show you. Now we didn't get that precisely, but Quark saying no, don't tell me, and then Quark, that gag was kind of cool. Right. And then the regurgitation I thought was such a cool, one of the best setups of from the teaser to like little Easter eggs leading up to that ending, which makes it all kind of click and stuff. I just thought it was really, it felt very, for as lighthearted as the episode was, it felt very Rube Goldberg-y in that like we get to the end and it's all put together, and then the little tasty bit at the end just made it, I think, the best moment of the show.
I mean, Morn's crafting of this whole thing is actually very clever.
Great little storytelling, yeah.
And like him holding a fortune in his stomach for 11 years, like it's cool. It's interesting. And
actually would be a great way to explain why he never spoke, right? If you didn't do the gag of, he's always jabbering, right? This would have been a great way to like pre-plan why he never spoke. And now that he's got it out,
he can talk. Right?
But we fixed it, Keith.
Oh, we fixed it. Yeah, and it's really fun. I think it's clever. It is interesting that he got everyone else. He stole all the money. I don't know why. Like, where's honor amongst thieves anymore?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think for me, the best moment is the blocking. Him going in after the gold like he would. The phasers go up. He leans back. He's into all the phasers. It's just cute. It's fun. It's a romp. It's silly. Let's give us some stem bolts, shall we?
Mm-hmm. I'm postponing a meeting.
You get some stem bolts. Hell yeah, they are self-sealing. Here are some stem bolts for you.
Oh boy, hope Mike gets out of that meeting.
So
definitely started at 2, and we are at 2:02.
Yeah, listen, this is fun. I think it achieves exactly what it sets out to do. I mean, you kind of have to put aside knowing what we know about production and Morn and money and all that stuff. It is right. Tough, and it's all valid. But it's in the past, Keith, and we're dealing just with the episode, the art that is left. You know what I mean? Keith, Betty White and B. Arthur did not get along. B. Arthur had a heavy disdain for Betty White, and they played best friends for 7 years. So
it's true.
You know,
I mean, us too.
Yeah, it's fair.
We can't stand each other.
No, really, really disdain. Oh my God, it reminds me of. Please remind me to tell you something when we get offline.
We're not friends. We don't talk offline.
Just briefly.
Constantly.
Just bear me. Yeah, it's about somebody else, so it's even better.
Great.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like, what this for me was the pilot of a comic book series we never got, but damn do I want. Just Quark's adventures in space, right? Quarking on crazy little hijinks. And what we've seen is, like, you know, in that adventure episode where he has to put a crew together because the Grand Nagus uses him, he has such a unique set of skills and has interacted with such
I got a title, Quarkians of the Galaxy.
Love it. There's so many fun adventures, you know, Quark's going on a day-to-day basis before he has time to strap on the apron and get to work, right? So,
well, they should do it like Better Call Saul, and like do a thing, and then like you can integrate the other story you know about happening while he's doing all these.
I mean,
shenanigans.
assuming Quark lives, I don't know, Keith. He could be.
Well, no, but you said it in. Within the run of the series.
So it was great. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, like, I didn't think too deeply about any of the.
Yeah.
And each of those I thought were all really cool. I thought that Poison Ivy, or what's her name?
Ariel.
She looks the exact DC design of Poison Ivy from that movie. I thought she was fun, and you know, I will say, they sort of just when they decide to do femme fatale, it is pretty much the most the most Chat GPT femme fatale writing you could possibly ever do. It's always the same.
The show could have benefited from some female writers.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. But you know, she was funny. She committed to it, and I thought the Wet Bandits were great. I thought the other guys, you know, they each had a little moment to shine. It was all great. I thought the blast-off scene was the standoff scene was really cute, and I thought the ending was really satisfying. It was a word that we don't always get to use on this episode. It was fun. It was a ton of fun.
Fun. Super fun.
Had a ton of fun watching it. I don't really have any complaints. I don't think there were no stakes. I mean, Quark's got a little more money at the end. I guess that's about it.
Yeah, well, you know, it reminds me a lot that this season, which I think is just like a pinnacle of seasons of television of all time, but like, you know, because you have like the super heavy, super world and war. You also have some of the most fun. I mean, Magnificent Ferengi was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Right,
just fun romps.
Yeah, it's like, you know, between a couple of main courses, you get a fun meringue or something, you know?
Yeah, a little palate cleanser.
Yeah, so it was cool. I'm not going to give it like a super high marks, just, you know, for waiting circumstances, but I think it's a solid B. So I'm going to say 88 self-sealing stem bolts.
I already wrote down same thing, exactly the same thing. Like it's fun, it's delightful, it's a little souffle. I think it holds up. And I like knowing a little bit more about Morn, and I like now realizing that while we're watching Quark do all of his petty little criminal schemes, he's doing it in front of somebody, one of the most successful masterminds and like true criminals who like did the thing that Quark always wanted to do. And he's just there having a beer, watching Quark, like, you know, quibble over a bar here or two, and he's like, I'm sitting on a gazillion.
I think the sort of I think a fair trade they could have made. I don't know how they wouldn't need some rewrites, but having him fake his death, I think you figured out pretty early, and it allows him to be off screen for all of the sort of adventure happening. There is a version of this episode where somehow he's there the whole time, right? Yeah. So that the thing that we're seeking, the MacGuffin, is in front of our face the whole time. So that when he regurgitates it, you're like, oh my God, it's just been at the bar the whole time, right? Instead of having it off.
If he'd like been lying there as a fake corpse the whole time.
Yes, something like that.
Like he should have been like on the table in Quark's the
Yes.
entire time, just like taking a nap while all
that, like
people
the
are-
other thing about his race is they can hold their breath for like 6 weeks or something.
No, totally.
Yeah.
They can like hibernate,
Yeah.
and like while everyone is scrambling desperately trying to find
Yeah.
this Latinum, it's on the table the whole time.
Oh, that's good. That's a good.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So that's.
All
I
right.
mean, whatever. So yeah, 88.
88, a universal 88. Okay, so folks, next week, Far Beyond the Stars.
That's Saturday. That's tomorrow. at
Saturday.
noon.
Tomorrow at noon for the live watch along for the patrons. You can join at patreon.com/K&M. Now, here's my request to those patrons.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yes, just you are to be seen and not heard. No. My dad, are you here?
Whoa.
No, just like when we get to the parts where Mike needs full attention, don't distract him. Let him take it in. But there's a lot of. I'm not going to give it away, but it is a incredibly unique piece of Deep Space Nine that will be
exciting.
really fun.
Oh, this is
to all
tomorrow for
experience.
me. This is great.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like this is a incredibly unique standalone. Not standalone, but in terms of like, there are no other episodes like this one. It's really
Oh,
interesting.
cool. I can't wait, man.
So will be fun. We will talk about it and do our full review next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for putting up with our nonsense, as always. And, we're going to get to work on the Golden Girls. We'll see. Well, whatever it is. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike. Watch Deep Space Nine.
Go Birds!
Thank you for watching K&M
Now tell me that
Entertainment.
story.
If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Keith pops 6 Xanax.
seriously. All right. Let's do a show, shall we?
Yeah. If you can't tell, we're not doing okay.